Jeff Prinz from CBR making his way further down to SoCal. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Brian.
So you are, first of all, you're the, I guess, brainchild of the new CBR 2.0.
Wow,
if we want to call it that.
Different way to put it. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I'm the only one, but my wife and the rest of everybody else that's with us are announcers. It's a collective thing. We call ourselves the CBR family, so it's a collective.
Right. And for people who aren't in SoCal listening, CBR stands for California Bicycle Racing, and it's basically a race series of criteriums that are USAC, United States Cycling, or USCF. I don't know which one anymore.
They keep changing their name.
Yeah. But it's really kind of the bread and butter of local racing, and every state and every city has got their own version of it. This one is unique to Southern California, and they're mostly in the Los Angeles area, but it's something that's taken a beating over the last few years, I'd say. I don't know if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something that is seeing a bit of a renaissance, I think.
Yeah, I think we're trying to bring more life back into it. I did it a long time ago when Chris Lotz had it, and Roger Worthington kind of helped him out in the beginning back in the early 2000s, and that was the place to be. And then it just kind of went out a little bit, kind of like cycling did after the Lance boom, and we kind of went down a little bit, but we're starting to see those numbers again back at CBR. We've been getting right there about, just under 700 riders at our events. And it's just really awesome. Our main focus is really keeping that family atmosphere.
Yeah. So in a way, well, first of all, let me back up.
Yeah.
How did you even get into cycling in the first place? Have you been in the sport for a very long time and you've just kind of grown with the sport? Or
I came out here in '97 as a professional triathlete, and
know any good triathlete jokes?
Stay out of the bars. And came out here and I did a couple group rides, and that's when I met actually the Worthingtons, and they kind of took me underneath their wings and said, "Oh my God, you're strong on cycling. Why don't you, get into cycling?" And went from a Category 5 to a 1 in a year. And really got into it throughout all my 20s, and then traveled all over then. Super Week when it was at its booming, and people from Europe were coming over, and it was just crazy fast races.
So this is 97, 98?
Yeah, 98, 2000s, 2001 is when it was going really good, and raced Lance and Ojai. That was a fun experience. And just always been in the cycling community ever since.
And so how did you go from a 5 to a 1 in a year? I mean, people spend their whole lives trying to get from a 5 to a 1. You did it in 1 year. What was the secret sauce on that?
78 races.
78 races in 1 year.
There was a lot of races, a lot of stage races. And it was when I first came out, my first race was Manhattan Grand Prix. And lovely race. It's an awesome race, staple in our community. And I remember talking to Jan Luke at the time, and I said, "Oh, can you give me a 3 license?" And she said, "Oh, have you raced?" I said, "No, I'm just a pro triathlete." "Well, you guys are strong, but you can't handle your bike." She's absolutely right, But I went, she said, "I'll give you an honorary kind of upgrade to Cat 4. So I got that and won the race, and then just moved on.
Wait, how did you win? Did you just break away?
Yeah, at the
and
end.
kind of lay your hands on the tops?
No, I didn't do the Jamie Polinetti hands on the top, which he is a master at, by the way. He's just can do that. No, just kind of got away and just put your head down, and then went on to Valley of the Sun last year when then I was a Cat 3 at the time, and a couple jokes and everything else, and stuff like that, and just worked my way through it and traveled back to that summer tour of Ohio and a bunch of Midwest races, and got the rest of the upgrade points in.
Congrats. That's huge. Going from jumping, did you ever want to go pro after? Like when you were a 1, were you looking for a contract or anything?
Yeah, you did, but it's who you know. I'm strong. I knew I wasn't going to go and, be any of the, other guys. We had guys even when I was racing elite. Chris Jones was a local guy, made it all the way up, and he was on our SDBC team. And I just love being a teacher, because that's what I do full time. I teach calculus, and I love teaching. So
So did you want to go like the coaching route?
Yeah, I did coach cross country and stuff at the high school, and did that for a little bit, but then kind of just focused on cycling and riding around and getting into that.
Okay, that's really cool. I kind of have a confession to make. On the air. This is the first year I have not renewed my USA cycling license, and I feel really bad about it because, first of all, my license number is 84510, so it's a 5-digit number. I've had it since 94, and I feel like it's one of those things that I just haven't done, and in part it's due to there's other alternatives to racing. Mm-hmm. There's gravel events, there's Fondo events, there's Strava, I hate to say it, there's Zwift that people are doing and training for, which is kind of the weird thing. Like, I would never have thought in my wildest dreams somebody would get a coach for a group ride. You know, like, oh, I want to train so I can hammer the Swami's ride or SDBC ride. Like, it's the weirdest thing. And normally when I first started doing the CBRs, that's all I thought that was available. And I got to tell you, I took some time off the sport. Then in 2011, I got back into it, did my first CBR, registered, got my number, rolled up to the start line, and Chris Lotz goes up and just starts yelling at everybody. And I'm looking around like, what did we even do? We haven't even raced yet. He's just yelling about crashes and how we're idiots. And I'm thinking like, I guess I'm just lucky to even be here. And then we raced, and then I just had kind of a weird taste in my mouth. And then I went home. And then every CBR I've done since then, everyone just kind of, oh, that's just the way he is.
That's just Chris. You know,
it's the way it's, you describe somebody when you name them twice, like, oh, Chris is Chris. It's self-explanatory. It's self-explanatory. You can read between the lines on that. I mean, I thank you, Chris, if you're listening, thank you for putting on those races. It's a thankless task. We all have day jobs, but at the same time, it's like, man, I've seen fights in parking lots. I've seen, people yelling at each other in the cool down lap after the race when tensions are high. People are chopping wheels, people throwing F-bombs. And I'm thinking, my wife used to come to watch me race. She doesn't want to anymore. She said, you go race, you go do your thing, you come right back, and then we can get on with our day. Because she is like, I'm not taking my kids here. It's basically a bro fest. And you've actually changed that a little bit.
We have.
Do you agree with the perception that people have towards the older CBRs?
No, I totally do. And again, like you just said, I also want to, if Chris is listening, I just want to thank him for setting the table. He really he set the table. He set CBR, his platform, and we've just kind of grown and built upon it. Based on education and family, we're just using our tools that we have. My wife and I both educators, so we want to educate. So we've got like the BRP Beginner Racer program, which is bringing more and more people into the sport. But yeah, we want that more family atmosphere. We don't like the, the F-bombs. We try to say, hey, we got kids over here. We got, we've got beanbag toss, cornhole, for the kids and stuff.
Yeah, I never, ever in my wildest dreams would think that, oh, that's something you'd see at a crit. It's just, tattooed guys with, big ambitions that want to win the prize money. So I don't know. I think, though, that if you ask any cyclist their opinion of SoCal crit racing, there's a strong opinion about it, one way or the other. Because people, too, use it as a proving ground to cut their teeth. I'm just going to name off some names. Bahati, the Williams brothers, Corn Rivera. Even Phil Guyman said secretly winning the CBR goes down as one of his greatest wins. Megan Jastrab, like the junior local phenom, she's going places in the sport.
She is.
Big time. She's already racing in Europe. The Ryans, the sisters. So it's churning out riders who are getting something out of local racing, but at a very, very high level. I think the only other state I heard of that even comes close to SoCal in terms of crit racing is like Florida. I guess the scene there is kind of like here. It's just very highly competitive. Maybe we should meet in the middle and have our own like East Coast, West Coast.
Any promoters down there, give me a call, Well, let's talk. Let's brainstorm.
Yeah. So what sort of changes did you have to do? Did you have to look at the whole organization as a whole and say, okay, where are the holes and how do we fix this? Or did you even see it as in need of fixing?
It's just kind of, I guess per se, and this is not like a negative connotation, but it's kind of like a fixer-upper. You buy your home and, you want to add travertine over here. You want to add granite. So we kind of looked at it like that. And, that's what we ended up doing. My first thing is really building a solid foundational staff that, like I said, that is the CBR family. And every sponsor that we bring in, we also say they are the CBR family. So one of the key tributes that I probably would say is our two announcers. Dave and Dave. I want to give, David Worthington and David Wells. They really help out, really keeping everybody informed, keeping everybody excited. And I think that, that with the event atmosphere, what I wanted to bring, to CBR was that mountain bike atmosphere. If you go to, say, the Over the Hump races, if you've ever been to any of those, Matt Wagner there puts on a great event atmosphere. He gives the, finishers pint glasses and stuff. I had to ask him his permission and blessing if I could do the same thing because it's such a great idea and people are loving it. They're collecting it. So the top 15 in every age category. So your top 3, like you said earlier, the Chirons and everybody else that typically will win the race, yeah, they'll get that. But I want everybody else to still get stuff, So there was a lot of things that we kind of wanted to do, but mostly the family atmosphere. And we got a big red arc. We want it to be a nice, you come in and you're going, whoa, this is like, Dana Point Grand Prix. Well, maybe scaled down about 10 notches because Russ puts on a fantastic event at Dana Point.
And so a lot of people tend to look at industrial park crits as kind of like, I don't want to race. They have, okay, I want to race in some cool downtown area where they can shut down downtown and have thousands of spectators. And it's just, in a lot of ways, race promoting and doing what you do is such a tough thing that people roll their eyes at an industrial park crit a lot of times. But what are some of the logistics behind you have 2 different courses. Yeah, it's 4 corners, but it's still, nobody criticizes a velodrome for being an oval.
Right.
So.
Like I said, we've done more of that event atmosphere. We've brought, barricades. We've brought food. We've brought the finisher's arc. We've, all the sponsor banners are up, out there pretty early in the morning, setting it all up with volunteers and everything else. So everybody has that great time that they can, have a taco, watch the rest of the races, and just hang out. So it's just not, honey, I want you back here to mow the lawn at 12. Go do your race and come back. Now I'm starting to see wives, kids, everything, and they come and hang out. At last race, I saw someone on the tricycles, and I was just like, that is the coolest thing in the world.
You got to have kids races.
I know that is definitely in the mix. I've already been asked by several people. Elijah Baker's one of them. Always keeps saying, come on, where's the kids race? And I said, don't worry, it's coming. We'll have it for the series finale on June 10th.
Okay. Do you think that in a lot of ways, American style crit racing is fighting an uphill battle with all the alternatives to pinning on a number these days? Or just riding around? There's a danger factor. Don't get me wrong. Some people like the danger factor. Everybody has to go to work on Monday. Unless you're a junior, you can skip school if you go down. But is that sort of changing the image of this super aggressive style of racing to something that is inviting more towards beginners, Cat 5s, those sorts of people?
It is a difficult little uphill battle. Yes, you got the Fondos, the gravel grinders, and all these other type events, which is actually cool because it's just bringing more people into the sport. I look at it as a win-win. You bring people more into the sport. Okay, so now, hey, have you ever decided to do some criterium racing? Oh, no, I heard that's kind of dangerous and crazy. Oh, no, why don't you try our beginner racer program? So we started a beginner racer program last year that instead of like when you first started, oh, you're a category 5, you're a category 5 racer. Oh, good luck, don't crash. That stigma.
Yeah.
So we've changed that. I've hired a level 1 coach. We have a curriculum based. So it's very educational based.
It's like a lesson plan.
It really is. So they have actually a 45-minute, and it includes the Cat 5 race. So if you sign up for the BRP, which has been sold out every single race.
Are you still capping it at 25 racers
30.
or 50?
30.
Okay, 30.
So I want that teacher to student ratio just like I want in my classroom. Because you get that, I feel special. I'm getting a lot out of this. Mm-hmm. Not more or less I feel special. I feel like I'm able to learn when it's at one-on-one. So it's a 45-minute lesson. Kind of, they go over everything from the basics like cornering. How do you go 3 abreast to 1 abreast? Bringing up which leg. All the common things that a lot of people don't understand. And you don't have to race really to be part of the BRP. So you could be a local... and you go do local, group rides and stuff. The handling skills and the lessons that you can learn can be applied to that. And so you do a 45-minute lesson, and they're all different. Mm-hmm. Everyone's different. They build on each other. And then you race with the Category 5 racers with the coach in tow watching you. So now, then after the race, they meet up again, and they debrief. What did you do good? What did you do bad? What can you do to improve? Mm-hmm. It's such an awesome, and we do this for men and women. The women can integrate, and then the women can race the women's race instead of racing with the Cat 5s. And it's just amazing. More and more people, oh, can I do the BRP? It sells out by normally Wednesday. It sells out by Wednesday. Now, other promoters have tried to, do it. I know that Alfie, a couple other people have been trying to do it. And that's awesome. That means that we're getting more people into the sport. And now I kind of look at these because I teach calculus, so I'm very data-oriented. Data-driven. So my thing is, are these people coming back? Yes, they are. Mm. So they're coming back, they're upgrading to the 4s, and they're staying in it. Because they're taught right, they feel comfortable racing. Yes, they know that there's that risk and everything else, as criterium racing has. But they feel comfortable. They don't feel like, oh man, this guy's going to crash me out. Now, yeah, there are some other squirrels out there, hence the nickname, but they feel more comfortable. They know, they teach them, okay, if you see this, just move away from them.
Yeah.
So they're giving them that education that, you and I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Years of taking our lumps.
Do they teach strategy as well? Like
that is our next step. So this year we ended up partnering up with Brian McCullough and Big Wheel Coaching. And Brian and Joy are amazing. I love these two. These two are awesome.
He's so happy all the time.
He is. Doesn't it make you sick?
It kind of makes me go, what's wrong with me? I'm not as happy as he is. He's such a positive guy, and he's so strong.
Yeah. And wait till they have the kid, the little one, because now they're going to be even happier, with less sleep.
Exactly. I was about to say that. You beat me to it. It's funny too, because when I talk to most people about how they got into cycling, nobody says, oh, I just signed up for a local Cat 5 crit. They go, I was a former triathlete. I was a runner. I was a soccer player. I was a mountain biker. Have you seen people that go, yeah, I just wanted to sign up in a crit and I just stuck with it, and that's how I got into the sport?
Yep. And then we're seeing it firsthand with the BRPs. We're seeing it from all ages. You're getting guys that are in their 60s even doing the BRP. It doesn't matter the age. They're learning out of the deal. And again, education is everything. If you feel educated and you feel like you're getting something out of value, then I want to do it.
Uh-huh. And then during the race, is it at the point where they have so your racers and then your mentors physically in the race?
Correct. So
riding around with them with like a vest on?
They do. Yep. The mentors are in there and they have their specific vests. So we have the coach as well as 3 to 4 other mentors. Rick Schultz, Ricky Livingston, Sean Bagley. A lot of those guys definitely help out. Dave Kasel's helped out. And with these guys, these are the ones that a lot of people look up to. And if they come and they're able to give they're giving back, we're just really helping the sport.
Yeah. And it quickly shortens the learning curve. Even though cycling's a lifelong learning sport, what you learn in, say, 2 crits could have taken us in the early days years.
Yes.
You just have to figure it out on your own and expect to know the next time. And you just learn what not to do or learn from your failures. So in this sense, it really is more, I hate the word holistic, but it really is a more holistic type of experience where they can literally upgrade, from 5 to 4 to 3 and so on. Maybe not in one season like you did.
Wow. That's a fluke. That was luck.
Do you ever see just phenomenal people who are just gifted and they just can ride, like not in the Pro 1 or 35 plus, but in like the 5s, they're like, oh, this person has some serious gift here.
Oh, you totally can. You totally can. I saw even one that comes to my mind is Katie Murdat. I saw her last year as a Cat 5. She just won her first pro race last race. I mean, and she was right there. She almost got Megan, but Megan's she's that cagey. And that's why Megan's going to be our next Corinne Rivera or your next Alexis Ryans. And because Megan's just, wow, what she's doing in Europe is awesome. And Megan came around her right at the last second, just like an experienced person would do. But Katie Murdat, Elijah Baker I saw him as a 5 last year, and he's been moving up the ranks. But yeah, you see a lot of, Josh Stockinger. I've seen him move up, and he's a local Southern guy.
He's right down the street.
Oh, is he right down the street?
Yeah.
So I mean, he won the Ladera Ranch and grabbed the state jersey last year. So yeah, you can definitely see.
Do you think that races like a dedicated series, how is it helping the sport in terms of growing it? How is it helping the sport in terms of finding new talent and finding people that are like, okay, here's a future, maybe not a Tour de France rider, but here's definitely someone who could make a living at it in the sport? By
having a dedicated series, they're able to place a calendar on their map. So then they can go, okay, if they're married, single, you don't really need to worry about it. But as a married life, as you know, we need to plan things out. So this way they're able to plan things out and, have a schedule of events. And once the series and everything else is growing, now they're going to go, okay, I still want to do the series, but now I want to do this race too. I want to do this race too. So it's going to give them more because they're not just going to always do just the series. They might eventually then branch out to do other things.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, a lot of times it's muscle memory, it's second nature. Once you learn the basics, you can then sort of fine tune your skills. Is there a reason why you think, you've been in SoCal longer than I have. Why is it such a highly, highly competitive scene here?
Well, the best of the best is here.
So is it the people or the availability of the racing choices people have?
I think a little bit of both, and the weather. I think
that's true. You can train year round.
Yeah, it's multifaceted. So when I came from Ohio, it was very difficult training, and I lived on the trainer, the CompuTrainer at the time.
Oh yes, I remember those. That was this is before Zwift.
Nintendo.
Oh yeah. CompuTrainer.
Yeah.
Could it tell wattage?
It did.
Oh man. But it was like a massive machine.
It was just a trainer on the back, and it connected to your Nintendo NES system, and you had your little guy on there. And but yeah, when you came out here, you get to really see. You look at somebody's jersey, and you see the stars and bars, and then when you look even closely, you're going to see a couple with rainbow stripes on there. You know that you're in a mecca of people that have,
Oh yeah.
So you have a lot of competition, And I think that was another reason, the success, because I think like a Cat 3 out here could do really well in a Pro 1-2 race, somewhere else, because the competition is so fierce.
Yeah, I did years ago, it was a Costa Mesa. Is that a CBR?
It was. Chris Lotz did put one on in Costa Mesa.
And I remember I did a race, and I kind of did a double take, looked at the guy next to me. It was Ivan Dominguez, who raced on United Healthcare, and I just was like, oh my gosh. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go behind him just so I could stare at his calves. Like, hey, I'm on Ivan Dominguez's wheel. And then they left me in the dust. But it's stuff like that where you can, people who were on the national circuit or even the world tour, they come here and do these, and it's a humbling experience, but at the same time it makes it super competitive.
I remember doing a local race down here by you, San Luis Rey.
Yep, that's happening.
Yeah, this weekend, right?
Yeah.
And Jonathan Vaughters and stuff showed up, and I'm like, I got to race against him? Are you serious?
Oh man,
that was not fun.
What year was that?
Oh God, I think 98, 98. He was on Credit Agricole.
Okay. Very distinct jersey.
Oh yeah,
green and white.
Oh, you can't. Yeah, you couldn't miss it. And he was so skinny. Man, no wonder why he would go uphill so fast.
So on that last climb, San Luis Rey before the turnaround, was he sitting down or standing up?
I only saw him on lap 1.
Oh, Vaughters. I want to talk about some races real quick.
Okay.
San Marcos Grand Prix. Boulevard Road Race, Brentwood, Carlsbad Grand Prix. They're all gone.
You're naming some good races.
And that's these are not just any, like Boulevard was the sort of unofficial season opener. Mm-hmm. They're all gone. What CBR, are you ever worried that CBR is going to be like one of these one day and just, in the history books as, oh, that was cool. What's it going to take to sort of keep the CBR racing alive?
I think, and again, I can be wrong. I'm wrong a lot of times. My wife tells me. But I think like Boulevard, that's such a big race to do. And I don't think a lot of people, they look at the simple money and they think of all that each rider costs this much, times it by this, and they're making all this money. Well, no, you're really not. I'm not quitting teaching. Okay, that's my bread and butter.
You're not making money off of it. It's not like you're organizing your own personal Gran Fondo, charging $200 a head.
Yeah. Our entry fees are cheaper than Red Kite's up north. We're still at $35. And I got a little blowback when I first took it over because I upped the pro race $5. So, and even when I was racing back in the early 2000s, the races were still $35. So from 2000 to 2018, there's been zero inflation in the cycling community. So, however, everything else goes up.
Oh, yeah.
Permit fees, sheriffs, all of that's going up. Okay. And we're still paying out prize purses, unlike triathlons, fondos, anything like that, and again, they're all charging about $100 some to do their races. And I missed Boulevard. I would always look forward to doing that race. I remember doing it against Mercury, and the whole team would show up, and Floyd and Baden Cook, and they just ended up doing a Mercury time trial. And I got 17th, but I was happy with my 17th because I think I was second, like amateur, and but like you just said, you named a lot of marquee races that are in. Like Carlsbad, I know that one's pretty expensive to put on.
So did they all fail because of cost?
I'm thinking pretty much of costs. Sponsorships have been, and I am a very big go-getter, So, I mean, I'm knocking on doors. I'm going to this sponsor. I'm going to this sponsor. Our title, JL Velo, totally blessed. And Union Sports Saddles that have been with us since the start. And Richard with GQ6 have been with us even before that, when we were doing the Great Park with Ryan Miller, because Ryan Miller is my mentor. He's pretty much taught me so many things about race promoting. And, but yeah, no, I think the costs are going up. Some cities, like I told you just earlier, that we finally became a nonprofit. And if you're not a nonprofit, a lot of cities don't want to work with you.
Because the cities won't make any money off of it.
Yeah, they want to go with a nonprofit agency, you know, and then two, you get huge discounts, you know, for permits. They take out, oh, you're a nonprofit? Okay, your permit is now X.
Okay.
You know, if you're not, oh, you're an LLC, your permit is Y. Oh. So it's, you know, it's really difficult. You know, we've kind of, it's been set the stage that, you know, they've always, you know, gotten monies, you know, and we still give out monies. We give out, you know, quite a bit at CBR for the top 3 and everything else like that. And we double our, if the field hits 70, we double the prize purse, which we've hit 70 almost every single time. Our Masters 45 plus has been over 100 every race. But I think, yeah, I think you just named, and you met, and I've done every one of those races. Mm-hmm. I loved every one of those races. So it saddens me to see them go.
Do you think one day we'll have a revival of new racing, or is it just we're in a new era of fondos and gravel events and BWR style events, where people are like, well, racing's not the only game in town. I can do a million other things, but I don't know. I mean, do you think it peaked and then it just decreased membership, and that's what caused it? Or
I think also the inflation of the fees.
Okay.
The inflation of the USAC fees have definitely did it. When I was racing, it was $35. I mean, now I think it's $85 or $90 for your lesson. Maybe that's why you didn't renew. But yeah, and you know, I think that's just getting, you know, up there. So,
what can USA Cycling do to help you guys out, or are they doing everything they can to keep? I mean, because even USA Cycling admits they're fighting an uphill battle with membership, with race promoters, with just that whole thing. I mean, granted, their budget is a small budget compared to like the United Kingdom's or something like that. Mm-hmm. But what do you think if, you know, Derek Bouchard Hall was sitting right here? What would you ask him for?
Man, that's a great question. You know, I don't know. I'm not sitting in Colorado Springs. I'm not looking at their budget. I'm not seeing, and I'm sure inflation has gone up with everything, you know, in 18 years. So that I've been, you know, 20 years actually that I've been racing out here. So, oh man, that's a great question. I don't know. Because we started to try to bring out fixies at our race. And it was starting to look good, but
like the red hook style.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing we haven't even talked about.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's huge.
But they said that they didn't even they didn't want to pay the USAC fee last year of $60. They said it was too expensive. But then yet they were paying the 1-day license, and then I had to go out and find sponsors like Aventon and stuff like that to comp, you know, their 1-day licenses to keep it, you know, at $5. But again, they want to race for $5 or $10.
So it's a question of finance for a lot of it.
It really is, because the sheriffs and the permits and everything else, it costs money. Versus a fondo, you don't need that. You don't have to close down the roads. You don't make it a closed course. Now that's the benefit and the plus of a criterium, is it's a guaranteed closed course. You know that you're not going to get hit by a car. Now a Gran Fondo, a gravel grinder, it's an open course.
Oh yeah, people got hit at Big Bear. Yeah, of course, it's very dangerous.
It's, you know, and that's the only thing now. Again, the more and more, you know, the first came out with what's the one that's local down here that what's his name from Spy and they put Merckx or
Michael Marks.
Yeah, what does he put? He put the BWR.
Belgian Waffle Ride. Yeah,
correct. So that was like kind of the first of the everything, and everybody loves it, and everybody does that. Now you're starting to see more and more. John Hornback's doing a great job, and you know everybody's starting to do that.
Todd Brown in Orange County.
Todd Brown in Orange County with this HUNKR events. Well, Matt Wagner's really helping him out with that too. Yeah, but once we start to get an influx of those, now that's just going to diminish that pool. But again, they're not closed courses. Mm-hmm. It's not like a mountain bike race. A mountain bike race, it's a closed course.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about anything unless you're going to get hit by a deer.
Which has probably happened in a mountain bike race at some point. I'm sure it's on YouTube or something like that. Crazy idea, but you know, I don't know if you know about Oregon. they have their own racing governing body that is competing with USA Cycling called OBRA,
Really?
where they issue out their own licenses, their own fees, and they say, we want to basically separate ourselves from anything that has to do with USA Cycling, have our own series, and have our own governing body, and just sort of secede from the union. And obviously people in Oregon are doing that because they don't see a value in having to pay so much money towards, really like insurance and stuff like that.
Well, the insurance is pretty costly. So I even looked at insurance on the side note. But if you want to get something started for California, we can talk on that one. If you want to start another, side the podcast, if you want to start something up there, let's talk. But yeah, no, I don't even, sometimes there's a few people on the board of the SCNCA that I feel really have their heart out. I'm not going to name names or anything else like that because I don't want to put anything on the spot.
But wasn't there a shakeup with the SCNCA?
There really
people?
is. There really is. There's, I'm not getting, like I said, I'm not going to name names. But there's a couple people on there that really want to see cycling grow and succeed and everything else. But a couple have, hidden agendas.
Like they want to do it for their own self-interests?
Yeah, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not going, and that's just my view. Because every race promoter, we give them 50 cents on the head. They have a lot of money there. Mm. Why is that not helping us promote our races? Why is that not helping getting more riders into it? It's said that it goes to a lot of junior races. Well, I've got juniors that I'm putting on races. But I'm going out, again, like I said, I'm very aggressive. I bust my butt. I contact like Brian Wazurki at Impact. They sponsored the junior race. So the juniors can race for free. This weekend's race, April 8th, I contacted Greg Liebert, Big Orange. They sponsored this. Now, what they mean by the sponsoring is that they pick up the fee for the portion of that day that'll cover the sheriffs and I just do a proportion and they cover that. And all they're responsible for is $5 for their pretty much their insurance, because USAC gets, I think it's like $3.75 or something like that, and then 50 cents to SCNCA. And then the February race, we had Anthony Regaro fork out and said, I want it completely free for the juniors, which was so awesome. So it's stuff like that we're finally starting to see people really want to give back to our sport. Mm-hmm.
And cycling's just, I hate to say it, but it's getting more and more and more expensive. Bikes are expensive. Kits are expensive. Shoes are expensive. So,
the entry fees haven't gone up.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, have you looked at the numbers compared with years past before you were running it in terms of how many people in the women's race, how many people in the juniors? I mean, I've talked just and seen from my experience, okay, Masters is sort of having the bulk of, since it's aging out a little bit. What are the numbers looking like for 2018?
2018 is, at our events, are amazing. Our Cat 5s, like I said, and BR/BRP have sold out every single race since January. That's 75. The Masters 35s have been hovering right at about the 80 mark. The 45s are all over past 100, and the first race was 115 riders.
You almost have to run heats.
Yeah, we haven't seen numbers like that since early 2000s.
Okay.
And that is actually normally almost the second fastest. It's aggressive racing. And I tend to actually do more cash preems during the race. So your superheroes, if they're going to go for it, that's great. It's going to hurt your chances maybe at the end and on your glory. So that gives the middle guy a shot to be able to grab something and say, hey, I got some stuff. And, Masters 55 plus /60, they're probably hovering right at about the 30-40 mark. Cat 4s are 80, 90.
What about women?
That's what I was just going to get.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's awesome. I'm glad you brought. My wife and I both believe in the women. They came to us and said, oh, Chris Lass didn't have the women. And I said, I believe in it. I totally want it. Let's do it. Let's build it. But I need your guys' support. And I need your guys' backing. And I want to crush a stigma that, women don't care about it. Baloney. So on average, we've been getting anywhere between 30 to 40 in the women's 4.5s. That's insane fields. We weren't seeing that for forever. And the pro women have been 20 plus. Almost every race. I would say maximum that we had was 35 one race. And combined, the two fields right at about 65 to 70.
Do you think women should get equal prize money? Versus...
I would love...
Based on, the membership is down. I've heard both sides of the argument about... And
I knew you were going to bring this up.
Yeah. I mean, because some races do have equal prize money for men and women, and some don't. What's your take on it?
You know PC?
Yeah.
Savord?
She was on the show.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Okay, so PC's... Yep, exactly, Priscilla. I'm in contact with her, Shelby Reynolds, all the girls at Lagrange. They've been really helping out this year, which is amazing. And I had a good talk with PC on that because she's like, oh, can we have more monies? I did. I'm bumping it up to 300 for them, and even though it's going to take a huge loss for us, I do feel equal prize money's
she's just saying that because she knows she could win it all.
Of course, I know. That's a little hidden agenda right there, of course, but Megan Jastrab and Shelby Reynolds are no joke either. Oh, yeah. So I would love to, but again, it comes back to that cost. The cost, and I'm a big component on, I think another reason why we're successful is the duration of the races. I don't want to give somebody to come out to our race, 30 minutes. No, almost every race is a minimum of 50 minutes. So most of the Masters, 35, it's an hour. 55, 45, 50, 55 minutes. I want it close to an hour. You're going to come out, get a workout in.
Yeah, especially if you do multiple races too.
You're going to get
that is a really good workout.
So, and I give the women 50 minutes, almost close to an hour. That's really going to prepare them for nationals and other bigger races that they're going to have to do that duration. And again, that's another reason why I think, they do succeed and get stronger in CBRs. They got that longer race and the competitive nature. But with the women, it's back to that cost I said. The cost for that hour, and the amount of money that I bring in from the women, it washes out the prize purse, and then no matter what if you're doing crunching numbers.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at just from a participation standpoint, and you go, okay, there's 100 men in the Pro 1 race, and there's 15 women. Should women get equal prize money than the men do?
I wouldn't mind. Now, Russ Ames, do you know Russ?
No.
Russ Ames, he's the promoter of Dana Point Grand Prix. Talk to Russ a lot, and I think, and I wouldn't mind trying something. I don't know what the feedback would be from the riders, but I wouldn't mind putting out a survey if they wouldn't mind answering it. Is I would like to kind of do away with monies for all the other categories except for the pro men and the pro women. And then possibly, the men 2-3, because a lot of those that are in those categories, that's what they're doing right now. They're college kids. They're making it. I know what it was like strapping to one race to the other race. If I didn't have Simple Green and, Mazda or anybody else helping me pay the bill, I couldn't have been able to travel and do all the races that I could. Couldn't afford it. And in the bikes, if I didn't have Edge Cycle Sport at the time with Hank helping me out, I couldn't have done it. So I think all the monies should kind of go there. And that's when Russ and I were talking about, I think I guess there's some people in the Midwest are starting to do that. And
it is hard to sort of say, okay, Masters guy who wants more money as he drives to the race in his BMW 7 Series. It's like, does he really need the money? I mean, I know it's more bragging rights too, but I get what you're saying. Those people that is sort of their, at least at that level. It could lead to, could it lead to a pro contract? I mean, it is a CBR, but at the same time, it's so competitive. And there are people that have come from sort of your higher level jelly bellies that get humbled really fast when KHS leads it out, and they don't have a budget nearly as big as Rally or whoever, but they can really take it to them. It's almost a completely different skill set. Do you think, speaking of that level of racing, do you think sort of the videos of guys, bumping here and there. SoCal, nation's #1 beast, the Williams brothers, sort of showing here's racing with my GoPro in my head, getting a little aggressive. Is that turning people off to that kind of racing, or is it bringing more? I know it gets a lot of views because everybody loves to see that on YouTube, but is it saying, oh man, I never would want to do that?
No, I don't know if that's the case. I mean, Corey Williams and Justin, Rasan, all those guys are such amazing bike handlers. Mm-hmm. And they make it look so easy. And being able to squeeze in through some holes and a little rub here. But again, if you really watch it, their hands never leave the bars, which is a class act. You cannot, rule number 1 is your hands don't leave the bars. Their hands don't. Mm-hmm. So they find a way to get in there, kind of rub a little bit this way, lean into somebody else. It could be very, I watch the videos,
Yeah, I do too. And I look forward to watching them.
Yeah.
Because they're so exciting. But then I'm like, I do not want to be on the other side of that train that is just coming.
But that's at that level.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not your typical level that you're going to see for the Cat 4s or the Cat 3s or the women's or the BRP or the Cat, so it's a totally different level. And that's why we have categories. Same thing with car racing. I mean, you start with your 2-speed shifter carts and you move your way up to open wheel and then you move your way up all the way to F1, So we have those categories the same way, and the speed increases throughout those categories. So it's just a different level.
What's the kind of wrapping up here? I just want to know, what's your vision for the future of California bicycle racing? Where do you want it to go?
I would love to see, it just to keep growing more and more. Again, more and more sponsors to get involved. If anybody knows, that's the key. If a lot of masters and everybody else that have businesses, okay, and are in charge of everything else, get people to sponsor the races. You want the races to stay. The promoters need the money. So if you like Carlsbad, you like San Marcos, you need to talk to that promoter. You don't need to talk to me. You don't need, if you want to come to CBR, I'm not going to turn you away. But you want that. I think it's the responsibility as the rider and the promoter both to make that if you really want it to happen. So if somebody knows somebody, yeah, I think he would totally sponsor your race. He totally would give you $5,000 to help you out at the race, or $2,000 or $10,000 to be the title, or 20, etc. Because the title for Dana Point Grand Prix is $100,000. You need monies like this to put these on, and people don't understand that all the logistics that go behind it.
Yeah.
So if we have connections, I feel it's maybe our responsibility, even if I wasn't a promoter.
Yeah.
Say, hey.
Racers out there, all of you have day jobs except for a few people,
Yep.
So yeah.
It's like, one more thing. I got, so Jeff, a guy at Bosch, he helps sponsors the Murrieta. He was telling me that, if I'm able to get more people to come, that use Bosch products. Have you ever used any Bosch products, tools or anything like that?
Don't they make like washing machines and stuff?
Everything.
Yeah.
So if you used anything, email me, and you're a cyclist, if you're able to email me at theknjracing@gmail.com, then we can, I can forward it to him, and he's going to be able to go to Bosch and say, hey, we got cyclists supporting our product. Let's support them. And he's going to be able to give more monies back to us.
Nice. Jeff, thank you so much for coming in. It's been actually kind of an education and kind of enlightening, because hopefully it'll change people's perceptions about criterium racing. It's changed mine. You're going
to come out? You're going to come and check it out?
I need to get a license first.
No, you don't need to.
Or I need to renew my license.
No, you can just come on out with the family, watch some races, have some tacos, challenge your kids to the beanbag toss, and yeah, come on out and check it out.
How can people find out more about CBR Racing online?
They can go to www.californiabicycleracing.org or .com. You can check us out on Facebook at the California Bicycle Racing on Facebook, as well as Instagram. We do go live on all of that. And you can also join our newsletter. We have a link for that on the Facebook page.
All right. Thank you very much.